So imagine being in the bathtub, and I had been in it all night, praying for answers. Why am I having this pain? Started going back through how many times I had prayed for an answer, how many times I had researched for an answer, how many relationships did I have to lie to. I started thinking about how many hours and days and weeks and months I had spent in that pain. And I was done. I literally decided, I'm done. I know I'm currently in a bathtub, but God, you gotta give me an answer right now. My story started out with me starting my period at 15 and my mom trying to explain to me a little bit about what I could expect. I did not have what my mom told me. I had that times 100. I remember going on a church trip, got my period at this church camp, and I remembered one of the ladies, Terry, sitting down, and I just started telling her, like, hey, I'm having really bad cramps, like I'm really afraid. I heard Terry say, I think something might be wrong. So I went and had an ultrasound, which, as a teenager, that was really scary to me. He just said one of my ovaries was slightly larger and just keep on what I'm doing, covering it up with pain. So that was my first experience with the medical system and covering things up. So I get to chiropractic school, go through the same thing. Got to tell my teachers or make an excuse, and that was half of it too, because everybody else has periods. Everybody else is in pain, they still come to class, but it was impossible. It was absolutely not possible no matter what I did. I didn't want to talk to anybody, so not only was I in pain, but emotionally disconnected, not wanting to share my story with anybody. One thing I always had to have was a bathtub, because extremely hot water was one of the only things that could, on top of the regular medication at a drugstore, I needed a little bit more. So if I ever traveled, I had to call ahead and make sure that they had a bathtub. So in chiropractic school, you're of age to start thinking about marriage, career, and I'm going to be graduating in 4 years. And I started thinking about, well, I don't want kids now, but I'm going to want them later. So now my problem was not just my pain, but now what if I can't have kids? I thought about how deep my problem was.
So it's really hard to go back and even relive the story, because I just watched my wife suffer for so long. She was doing everything right that we knew to do, and I think that made it even harder for both of us, because there was no answer, and that was the hardest part. And she was always just praying for an answer, and finally that answer came.
So imagine being in the bathtub, and I had been in it all night. I started thinking about how many hours and days and weeks and months I had spent in that pain. And I was done. I literally decided, I'm done. I know I'm currently in a bathtub, but God, you gotta give me an answer right now. And he gave me a gentleman's name. I felt like God was saying, you need to reach out. But at 4:30 in the morning, I emailed him. He emailed me right back. I'm like, what are you doing? You messaged me right back. Like, what are you doing at 4:30? Where are you even? So just now that that's been years ago, I know that that's actually what time he wakes up. Every single morning he gets up at 4. He does his prayer time, every single morning. So like, it was the time for me to ask God the time to be in the bathtub, the time to have my phone beside my bed, and to message him on Facebook, and just so happens that he checked it, and literally within 1 to 2 minutes he had messaged me back. And he has a passion of helping doctors that help a lot of people, because he knows if he helps them that he is by default helping thousands of people. He kept on talking about testing, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've had x-rays, like I've had an ultrasound. He was like, no, we gotta find out what's going on with your hormones, like what's high, what's low, what's not working, what's too much, you know. Had never been told that, and he sent the testing immediately.
And through that, we were able to do the right things to balance our hormones back out. And I just feel like I got my wife back.
He made me feel like it's okay, there is hope, and you're not alone. And I needed that.
Not only that, but she's taking her story, and now she's been able to help thousands of women get their life back. And it comes through getting the proper testing done, and her sitting down and actually going through, giving the proper recommendations, and we've seen women's life change from all over the world.
And so when you know what your triggers are, you know actually what's imbalanced, and then you know what to do about it, that changes everything.